Hello and welcome back to Flint Hills Briar. I'm Gareth again. Same as always. Not like that would change. And I'm out here once again camping in the Flint Hills of Kansas. My usual winter camping lake location. Up in the former glaciated region of the Flint Hills, up on the northern part here. Like I've said before, there's some glacial erratics, some big old or decent sized chunks of quartzite, which we don't have here in Kansas. I would say naturally, but you know, I guess it naturally got here with a glacier or glaciers. But I'm smoking some White Lightning, Cornell and Diehl White Lightning, which is like the second one of their Appalachian Trail series. In my Missouri Meerschaum Boone Cob. Just enjoying what's left of the afternoon. Shadows are getting really long. The sun's not going to be up for much longer, so really need to get my fire lay set up so I can light that puppy up and enjoy a nice warm campfire tonight. Enjoy some good food. I'm going to make some Hawaiian toast, which is the kind of oddly named, it's a German dish, if you call it a dish. It's a German thing, but it's Hawaiian themed. I've talked about this before. You take like bread, you toast it, and then you put ham on it and some like Gruyere cheese, I think is what I have. It's pineapple ring and like a maraschino cherry or some red jam. I have some raspberry jam that's actually from Croatia, of all places. This should be some good eating. Add some Chardonnay, a bottle of Chardonnay. Seemed like it would go well with the Gruyere cheese. Gruyere, however you say it. At least my mind thought that. But it's not. It's early February. Wasn't too terribly cold last night. Got down to like 31 Fahrenheit. I think tonight it's supposed to get down to maybe like 20 or something. It'll be colder, but it's been kind of windy, north wind, which should drop a little bit. My campsite is fortunately decently sheltered from the wind. I came out here last night assuming I'd be able to camp in my usual spot, which is decently protected from the north wind, although I think this spot, I'm actually inside the trees a little bit from where I'm camped, but this spot's actually probably more sheltered. But anyway, I showed up last night, and lo and behold, the little campground, lane, drive, road, whatever, arm that goes up the area where I usually camp at, there were a couple very large, like not teepee, kind of pyramid-shaped tents there. So there's a group there. I think they're actually set up kind of across from where I camp, but I wasn't going to camp up that end because they were there, because, yeah, maybe I should have asked him like that one guy, like, hey, you mind if I camp behind you guys? Or it actually would have been more reasonable to, not that I would have done it, or not that I think it would have been a cool thing to do, but, I wouldn't have asked them to camp across the road from them and, just kind of be in their area. Yeah, they got there first, fair and square. That's, the way it works. But, if anything, despite the fact that my campsite is kind of in the entry area and it's right across from the one outhouse. This is the spot I camped at last time I was out here, last month, in the snow. It's actually probably more sheltered. But I, for my Burley blend that I brought out with me, brought Haunted Bookshop. Figured I'd give that a try out camping. I have noticed, for whatever reason, maybe I stay better fed out here when I'm camping, but oftentimes I don't have as much a nicotine problem with blends when I'm out here. Not that I always have that with Haunted Bookshop, but I kind of figured, yeah, let's give it a shot. Different setting, different environment, whatever. And I had one bowl that earlier, and I really enjoyed it. It was, I was getting flavors from that I hadn't noticed maybe ever before, really. Almost a little, I don't know if I should say that kind of oatmeal-likeness-esque thing that like Pegasus kind of has, but I was noticing some of that with it. And the Preak wasn't really overdoing it for me. So that bowl of Haunted Bookshop I really liked. Maybe I just need to take it camping with me and not smoking at home. I also brought some Mountain Camp for my my Latakia blend. Just brought three mason jars. I have a bunch of those little pocket jars, but I don't know. I mean, how many blends do I really need to bring out here? It's not that hard just to throw mason jars in my little pipe bag, which is it's like a Romanian army like bread bag, I think. This White Lightning, I'm back here in the trees because it kind of seems like the setting where you would set up your still and make White Lightning. I don't know if I've ever said this before, but my great-grandfather was a moonshiner, made illicit whiskey. I'm not sure. My uncle was actually saying that he made rye whiskey, he and his associates. So it sounds like they're making stuff other than just the usual moonshine where you know, mash corn and sugar or whatever you can probably get your hands on, and then just distill it and put it in jars and sell it without any sort of barrel aging or whatever. But this is in Kansas. I mean, this would have been like the 20s and 30s, something like that. In Kansas, from when we became a state, we were a dry state. You know, from 1962, 1961, it was during the Civil War, we became a state. Of course, after the preamble for the Civil War was fought on the border between us and Missouri, we were a free state. Missouri was a slave state, and abolitionists moved to eastern Kansas, hoping to keep it a free state, and pro-slavery folks were over in Missouri. It's where John Brown, he's kind of I guess he was a Kansan for a while. He was one of the abolitionists. I don't know if he lived in Lawrence or what, but there's the whole like Potawatomi massacre thing where he and his sons, like, I don't know, ambushed or something a number of pro-slavery folks, and they basically murdered them by, like, among other things, like hacking them with swords and stuff. It was not good. I think that actually happened over in Missouri, but so anyway, even before Prohibition and even after Prohibition, alcohol, or at least liquor, was illegal in Kansas. So the German immigrants who came over here and wanted some alcohol, or at least stronger stuff, I can't remember if beer was legal, but anyway, they had to make it themselves, and hence, you know, when my grandpa was doing that. At some point in time, he got thrown in jail, and I think the authorities wanted him to rat out his associates, and he kept his mouth shut. And I think because he kept his mouth shut, his associates made sure to help my great grandma out financially while her husband was in jail for a while. I don't think he was in jail that long. I don't know the whole story, but I don't know. I guess not that these camping videos usually have that much of a subject. I guess some of them do, but it's kind of a somber one. 10 minutes in, and I'm getting to this story. I learned something the other day, which I'm not sure that I really wanted to learn about this little lake here, which for several years now has become my kind of go-to winter camping location. I ran across somebody at work who, a patient I scanned. I mean, this isn't HIPAA violation because there's no way I'm identifying anybody. Scanned some guy, and he asked me if I was from, the local town, and I said no. I grew up in Manhattan, Kansas, and he said, "Oh, well, I'm from this other town." He told me the town, but for anonymity purposes, I'm not going to say it. It's a little ways. It's not too far away from here. And he said he lived for about 20 years in the bigger town that's, well, I don't know if it's bigger than the one he was born in, but it's south of here. And I said, "Oh, I go camping. I'll probably be going camping at the lake up there in North Wamego." Okay, well, I said one of the towns. Still doesn't tell you anything, but and he's like, "Oh, up by, there's a teeny little town that's pretty close here." And I said, "Yeah, Pottawatomie County State Fishing Lake #1." And he said, "Oh yeah, a guy killed a woman and dumped her in the lake like 50 years ago. And they caught him, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know that." So I was quite intrigued. So I looked it up as best I could, and I found some newspaper clippings online about at least 3 different ones, and I was able to piece together by reading one of them. The resolution was bad on it, and I couldn't make out all the text, but apparently 2 women got killed. I think there were maybe like 19. And 3 guys were involved with it, and they went to prison. Something like, this was in 1968. I don't know if I said that already, but in August 8th, I think, 1968, these 2 guys grabbed it. There was this whole story about them coming out here earlier in the day and going to some abandoned house, and then they went back home to Topeka, and then they left again, went to Kansas City, picked up these girls. And apparently 2 of the guys, these girls were their ex-girlfriends or something, and they brought them here, and they wound up, newspaper said, at the boat ramp near the entrance, which there's 2 boat ramps. They're right next to each other. One looks older than the other one to some extent, but anyway, from where I'm camped, I mean, if you're strong, you could lob a rock from where I'm camped to that boat ramp. So I'm camped right next to it, basically. They drove the girls out here and said they drove around to see if anybody wasn't, to make sure nobody was out here, which surprised me in the middle of summer that there wouldn't be somebody out here, but whatever. I don't know, maybe it was really hot and muggy or something, and nobody in their right mind was out here. But then they went to the boat ramp and shot one girl like in the back of the head or something on the boat ramp, and then the other guy took the gun and shot the other girl, and then something like there was a boat out here that somebody left, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, they like hopped in the boat and took him out in the lake, and I think they weighted him down with an anchor or something, and threw him in the lake. And this lake, it's not big, and it's also, a lot of it's not that deep. Well, none of it's that deep, but and something like the boat, I think, capsized, and they wound up having to swim out of it and hopped in the car that belonged to like one of their current girlfriends and drove back to Topeka or whatever. Anyway, the girls were found a few days later by fishermen. These guys got caught. Fortunately, I mean, that was August. I think they were convicted by like in December of the same year. Went to prison, but it sounded like the reason they killed the girls was because these guys are just like criminal pieces of crap, I guess, and they were involved with some burglaries and just stuff like that. Crimes that would probably send you to prison, but not big time stuff. Sounds like the girls kind of knew about some of that stuff, and they just, I guess, didn't want them to be able to talk about it or something. Because one of the things article said something about like the guys claimed that they picked up the girls and the plan was to put them on a bus to California or something, but instead they just took them out here and killed them. Just a disgusting, senseless, stupid, cold, callous, yeah. So yeah, found out that a bit over 50 years ago, this place I enjoy coming to and camping at, was a scene of just a really disgusting double murder. I've been down to that. I walk all over the place here. I've been to that boat ramp. I don't know how many times I've put in, used it to hop in my kayak to go fishing here and stuff. And I just never knew that until some random, encounter with somebody, and he fills me in on that. It's one of those things that's interesting to know, but I'm really not sure I wanted to know that. But the first time I ever came out here, I believe, was in probably December of 1991. November or maybe December of 1991, and it was on a Boy Scout camping trip. That was the first year I was in. And I did a little math, and that would have been like roughly 23 years after the murders occurred. And there's like less time between the murders occurring and me first coming out here than like the time that's elapsed from when I was in Boy Scouts coming out here. Yeah, it's been over 30 years now. But anyway, it doesn't make this place creepy to me or anything like that. It kind of reminds me of some of the there's a few shelters on the Appalachian Trail where murders have occurred. There's a notorious one. I'll try to keep this fast because this video is getting long. There's a notorious murder case on the AT where a guy and a girl actually met because they were working at some sort of like an outdoor troubled youth thing or something. It was actually in Salina, Kansas, where I live and work. And I think they were either engaged or almost engaged. Anyway, after their job was up, they decided, they're like, out of college age, early 20s. They decided to go hike the Appalachian Trail. And one night while they were at one of the shelters in Pennsylvania, a guy wound up killing both of them and, doing something to one of the two of them. I think you can probably fill in the blanks there. And that shelter has been that shelter itself is now gone. It's been replaced by one nearby or something like that. And there's other ones where stuff has happened. Not that people get murdered on the Appalachian Trail very often, comparatively speaking to like other places, but they're just kind of notable things that are part of the trail lore, sort of. But I kind of stumbled almost by accident. Stumbled across the fact that there is a trail, a shelter, AT shelter, that on my backup plan, because my original Appalachian Trail hike thing got messed up by Hurricane Helene tearing everything up in North Carolina. With my little backup plan where I was going to hike from Roan Mountain, Tennessee to like Hampton, Tennessee, I think, area. There's a few shelters I was going to go by and presumably stay at. One of them is it's made out of stone, but apparently a girl back, I don't know how long ago, 30, 40, well, more than 30 years ago, I think, got murdered by some guy, some crazy guy that just said he liked her backpack, so he killed her. And apparently people say that that shelter is haunted and that like they hear stuff and that sort of thing. That was one shelter I would have gone by, except I hiked all of like a quarter mile of the trail that night, the night that after Helene came through, before I got off trail. So yeah, I don't know, that's the thing about being outdoors though, people, the outdoors is a wonderful place to go for so many reasons. And I enjoy doing that so much myself, but at the same time, the outdoors oftentimes is the setting or the settings, whatever, for heinous crimes, including one right here that I never knew about. But this has gone on long enough, so thanks for joining me. I'm Gareth with Flint Hills Briar. I'll see you next time.